done anything over the phone? How do you feel about the industries that are over the phone versus face-to-face? Walk me through what you see as the differences between those two styles of selling.
Like, you've built the urgency over their need to hold on to the money, and that's where you get it. But you need urgency. So if you're doing it on the phone or if you're doing it in home improvement, I believe the deal has to have some kind of urgent matter in order to cross the finish line. And now I have a gutter and roofing company, and I train home improvement professionals to do what I've done, which is be number one in the office of every office I go to, and make a lot of money, work less, make more, because you're closing at a higher package without discounting your prices.
Welcome to another episode of the Leads to Deals podcast, where we're going to talk about everything from leads to deals and everything we talk about leads to deals. You're here because you're obsessed with leveling up, dominating sales, mastering persuasion, and skyrocketing your financial success. I think we have a really cool one for you today. Not only do we have a young man who's producing really dope online sales content on TikTok and YouTube, but we have a closer that has about 20 years of closing experience or more, someone who's made a major impact in the sales game, particularly in the home improvement industry, whether it be roofing or gutter sales. This guy gets it. And he's just recently started a podcast for sales called Close or Die. So welcome to the podcast, Theodore Johnson.
Dude, Scott, I think you're just as crazy as I am, man. My intros are pretty similar. I like to hype things up, man. I'll be honestly transparent, 18 years of experience. But if we want to go in depth, I've been selling since I was out the womb, because I had to get those chocolate bars from mama somehow when I was in line at the grocery store. Actually started out home improvement, doing knocking doors, squeaky clean car wash at 12. So that's where I started. And then I came home with more money than my mom one day, and she said, are you selling drugs? That's how I knew I was onto something. I said, hold on. Am I selling drugs? Boom. Drug dealers, a lot of money. Knocking doors, doing car washes for $20 a car, a lot of money. Just hustle and grit. But at 12, it's easy to sell because you're a kid. Parlaying that into going to college, drinking my brains out, dropping out, learning that I just like to talk to people, and effective communication, learning that whole deal. And now I have a gutter and roofing company, and I train home improvement professionals to do what I've done, which is be number one in the office of every office I go to, and, make a lot of money, work less, make more, because you're closing at a higher package without discounting your prices. If that makes sense, Scott.
Fucking right, it does. But so Theo, let's slow down. Let's take a little run back. I know you have a lot of experience now, but what was your first true sales job? Like, where you were like, okay, this is not something with a safety net per se. This is like, I got to make it this way.
Okay. So, actually, it's funny you say that. I got into solar sales.
Savage.
In St. Louis. It was a company that they provided leads with a company car. I was like, well, this looks like something that I don't have to put wear and tear on my vehicle.
Yep.
The whole nine. Showed up. Didn't know anything about solar. Did their week-long training, $10 an hour, whatever they paid you to do the training. And then I got out there and close about a deal a day. They'd send you about 4 leads a day. And I just loved it, man. I just would go in there, be balls to the wall crazy. When I was a young buck, I just would say anything. So like I tell a lot of people, it's not even what you say. It's like, did you say something in the deal? Like when it got weird, it's like talking to a woman. It's not like, it's because you're so scared to talk to her. That's why you're not getting the phone number. Just go talk to her. I guarantee you, if you just say something, you're going to get the number. Same thing with closing a lot of times, So,
but in the beginning, though, Theo, I mean, listen, I get it. You're a talented guy and you came out of the womb. But how bad did you actually suck in the beginning, though? Come on.
I got nervous. I got really nervous. My heart would pound, palpitations. That moment where you don't know what to say, that even happened.
Yeah.
That would happen to me a lot. The think about it, objection, the talk to the wife, talk to the son, talk to whoever, the boogeyman. Yep. They exist in deals. What about you?
Yeah, so great question, man. I'm going to say it from an observational standard, because I definitely sucked in the beginning. I was fired from my first job, and I had an NDA, and the NDA, or non-compete. So I went to this other place, and they were like, hey, bro, you got a non-compete. Okay, I'll ask them. And they were like, Scott, Yeah, we don't even care about that non-compete. That guy sucked. He got kicked out. And then I realized like, okay, great. So I really like this. I don't want this taken away from me. That's when I took it serious. But what I learned though is sometimes it's the kiss of death when you start out too good. Because what happens is you think that it's always going to be like that. And you stumbled into your 1 out of 20 on number 1 instead of 20. And so you'll get these people where it's almost better a lot of times to build that initial resilience by getting more no's in the beginning and kind of getting off to a rough start. So I always tell people, like, I'm okay if you don't just come out of the door cracking it, as long as we hit our normal numbers, because I want them to know that this is going to be a job. It's going to hurt.
Yeah, it's definitely an ego death when you hit that slump. I have that in my podcast, I like to talk about the sales slump because I know we all have egos in sales, especially when you've been doing it a while, but I have hit the infamous 0 for 10. I think we all go through. Then you start questioning, am I even made for this? What am I doing? Do I need to get a real job? You start looking on Indeed. We've all been there for a second, and you're like, well, hold up. I got to sell one deal and I can pay my bills. What am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think also too, that you've now been in it long enough, you realize that you can appreciate it. It's a numbers game when you've been in it long enough. So even if you do blank for a certain period of time, you know that there's actually double the deals just around that next corner. And so I think one of my first sales mentors really helped me understanding that if you treat every lead the same and you put everybody through the exact same process, then you can actually have consistent results. And unless you have consistent results, you can't have improved results. So did you have like a really strong sales mentor? Was it just that training? How did you in the beginning start to get the marbles out of your mouth and perfect your craft?
So to answer your first, I like what you said. For every valley, there's a mountain, and every mountain, there's a valley. So when you have a slump, you're going to be on the top of the mountain again. That's why it's good to stay in the middle. Don't get too emotional high. Don't get too emotional low. But what you just touched on is vital. Sticking to a process. Because if you have a process, you ask all the same questions, you do all the same methodologies and all the same closing techniques, all the same principles, then you can actually get in your vehicle or hang the phone up or whatever way you're selling. You can go, okay, I'm not going to sit here and spin on this for 45 minutes. Next one. And I appreciate what you just said. But to then tie into your next question is who was my first sales mentor? Just my best friend and I growing up were passionate about this. We loved selling, dude. We loved ding dong ditching. We loved calling QVC to try to get on the screen. And we loved to see if we could just get people to that point of taking us seriously. So growing up, we found out about Grant Cardone, started studying his stuff. And then I was like, dude, I like how this guy just keep pushing the envelope. So I studied his stuff, took a lot out of that. But, he has a lot of great stuff. I like his clarity, transparency, all that stuff. I value myself. I'm a Christian. I like to sell with the truth. A lot of my stuff's on closing with the truth. That's why some of my stuff's hard to watch, is because it's like, dude, is he just calling that person out? You would never say that. You have no idea how many people say that. You don't actually say that. And I'm like, I do say that. That's why I close. Because I'm not scared to take it there.
So one of the best lessons I learned as a young salesperson is actually the power of the truth is almost like a decoy effect. And so sometimes you can use truth followed by a lie. And I'm not saying that's the strategy, but I could see how that would work, because somebody would ask you about a benefit, knowing that like, well, hey, can I do X, Y, and Z with this? And the answer is no. But to completely own it and just say, no, unfortunately, we don't actually offer that. And I can't do that for you. Their sales resistance goes down because they know that that was a layup. They know that everybody at the car dealership lies about this or lies about that. And then you've earned their trust so much by being honest that it allows you to execute the rest of your consultation without having to worry about, do they believe the words flowing out of my mouth?
Yeah. And if you're not lying, you're not trying to deceive somebody, because first to deceive somebody, you got to deceive yourself. Yep. Nobody wants to be a liar. Nobody wants to lie. So let's just know who we are. First off, a lot of my training is teaching people like who they are. Really, they don't even know who they are. They're like, well, Theo, if I say this, won't I get that? I'm like, well, you could say what I say and it might not work. It's all about you saying it, believing it. It's your belief. So that's, to go off what you're saying.
I want to go back to what we're talking about, kind of like the sales structure, and we'll go into your particular industry in a second, Theo. But one of the things that I learned from kind of some of my mentors is by having that structure though, and treating it like that assembly line, no matter what, I could, like you said, walk away at the end of that sale. I would know exactly where it broke, but I went through the two process. The problem that I find with most salespeople is that they'll cut the process short. They'll get this objection early on and they won't stomach through. And so to me, it's like, hey, if I don't at least set these mandatory minimums, this resistance in my communication, then I won't go through the process. And how he described it to me, he said, Scott, closers are like water. They'll follow the path of least resistance. So no matter what, I need you to do these 5 steps of this consultation. At the end, boom, boom. And so it just built up so much resilience to be able to get past the no's and to get past the BS to actually execute a sales presentation.
Dude, and my wife and I, when we're writing our process out, that's actually one of our first things. You should expect an objection in the beginning. Just have discernment. Sometimes there's places where you handle it. Then there's times where you go, I'm just going to let that one fly for a second here. We'll see where it goes. I like that, like water.
So I want to go into your industry real quick, but I have feedback on that. I find that the people who give the objections up front, it's a defense mechanism that says I'm ready to buy. And hidden behind that objection is like, hey, every time I get in one of these things, every time somebody comes to my house, I buy this thing. Or every time one of you cold callers call, I end up doing this thing. So immediately the people that are the most violent in rejection are the people who are actually saying, I don't trust myself to not buy your services. You find that to be the case sometimes?
Dude, Scott, I believe me and you have, we share a brain, my brother. When somebody gets emotion, the deal's in motion. Somebody gets emotional, the deal's in motion. Let's get it.
Amen.
Hey, look, you think a girl's going to freak out on you because she doesn't like you? No, she has some kind of feeling towards you. Same thing with the deal. They want what you got. They need it. And you've hit some kind of pain in them that goes, well, hold up. I'm not buying it. Oh, Get away from me.
Yeah, I have a whole methodology. I teach it. I talk about it as 2 thermometers, Theo. And the very first thermometer is red and this other one is empty. It has nothing in it. And this first thermometer is called sales resistance. And in every transaction, it starts at 100%. And before I have to build rapport. I have to be the expert. Before I can actually get to my sales acceptance of my product and my services, I have to get resistance down. And so all the scripts that we write, all the trainings that we do are to design to bring down this right here that you were just talking about. Customer comes into the call like this. They're trying to protect themselves because they don't know who you are. They don't know if they should trust you, your services, or your company. And you can't earn that trust unless you bring that resistance down. So I love that about you. Tell me, what is the gutter space? Like when somebody says, hey, I sell gutter toppers, or what is it?
Well, gutter protection. And
gutter protection.
Just to top off I put the icing on the cake, if you will, to what you just said. People don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. So, and that's an old school saying. I mean, you've said it, everybody said it, but it rings true. My first mentor, actually, now you brought back my first mentor. Don't need to go into that, but he said that to me, and I was like, oh, so you got to make a friend, then they'll trust you, then they buy. But the gutter space, dude, it's like Leaf Filter. You probably heard of them. Leaf Filter gutter protection. They're on the TV. Don't fall off the ladder, and they have old people like, well, I'm falling and stuff. And you're selling overpriced, stuff to them. Sure. But I actually I worked for them as well in a sales company, commission only. I saw how crazy their prices were. $40, $35, $40, $50 a foot. Imagine coming to your house, I'm rolling out $8,000 on your table, leaning back, and you're going, for gutter protection, people are buying this. So I saw a gap in the market.
And they're financing it too, right?
Oh, yeah. We got Wells Fargo.
You get money on the front and back. Okay, great. Sell the paper. I love it. Okay, keep on going.
It was essentially used car sales, but for home sales. It was a lot of fun for guys like me and you. I was in there like just having a blast. But yeah, 60 months, 0%. The deals would be no brainers. Like you could get them on it. You would just sell with fear, essentially. And that's where I started questioning. But then I actually got into my own gutter company, my own products and services. Now I just sell what people need because there's so many products on the market. What you're going to do with gutters, just simply it's protecting. I talk about it being the immune system of the house. Like, if your gutters are leaking, you're going to have fascia rot, electrical problems. If they're filled to the brim, you're going to have squirrels living in your house, the whole deal. So the gutter space, I really learned about that from Leaf Filter, saw how much money they're selling it for. Then I saw how much you could actually sell the products for and still profit. and I could work from home, not have to work like a 24/7 on it, and then just start building my brand on the side. I said it's a no-brainer. Get into that.
So I want to talk about, I love industry. I love mousetraps. And that's what I say. I train on this a lot. The process is stronger than the product, Theo. And so your sales skills, it's literally insert mousetrap here. It could be gutters. It could be timeshare. It could be it could be home. It could be anything, because the processes that we teach and know are universal. And so when I see mousetraps like $2 billion company like Leaf Filter, so somebody sold $2 billion worth of mesh screening over top of existing gutters or whatever, however it works. Walk me through that home services model. And for a guy like me who's never been in the home services space, from like lead to deal, how's the outreach? Is it always TV? Is it ever cold outbound? Is it door to door? What are those initial conversations like versus the in-home? Like, kind of walk me through that so I can pick up some things I may use in my business.
So yeah, it was like the company was amazing, man. They do door to door. They do every home show you can think of. If you have $2 billion, you're getting in every home show. They're there. They have marketing teams. But the most leads, because I was a rep that they would send to the home, and I would get like a lead on my phone. They would send it to me. I would check my phone the night before, and I'd be like, okay, I'm going here, 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 and here. Usually 4 leads a day for 15 reps in office. They have 205 locations nationwide. Okay, that's everywhere. So they're flexing big time. So you would get 4 leads at night. You'd be like, I'm going all over California, basically. So a lot of them were internet marketing, like Google. They just would be pumping money into Google. They're on the top of Google. Instagram was a couple. But the infamous, if you got a 10 code at Leaf Filter, that meant an old person got a flyer in the mail, like an 80-year-old, and they called you off the flyer because they have a discount. That was like, you're selling that puppy. If your boss gave you a 10 code, you were like, hey, I just made $2,000, Bubba. I got a 10 code. I'm rolling out. And you're going in there. But yeah, essentially, and they would do that. I don't think they did cold call, but they followed up. If you put data in there, they're following up every day. I called them one time just to check. Dude, they called me 3 times a day for 3 months straight just to see if I would set up an appointment.
I love it. So you talked to the lead after it was generated. For all of us marketing guys out there, do you know what the appointment setting consultation was like when they tried to reach out to you? Like, okay, I'm an old person. I fill out a form or respond to a postcard. It sounds like it's not going directly to you, the closer. And they've made the business decision, this home services, to not pitch people over the phone for the most part, because the guys sent you there face to face. So do you know how that first call went?
Yeah, it's just, how old are your gutters? What are your problems? Just basic questions, and be like, okay, well, we're going to send a professional out to do an evaluation for you.
Free, no risk, no obligation evaluation.
Totally free.
Yeah.
We're just, no pressure. And then you got high pressure showing up.
Yeah.
Mr. Closer, so they always said that. They would say a free 1-year estimate. So you would go out and you'd always get this. This is where we were like, don't handle all the objections. They'd be like, well, so why'd you call me out? Oh, I saw that I get a year price. I just wanted to have my year price. I'd be like, okay, perfect. You and, you and the other 50,000 people that called us today. I would flex on them a little bit, talk about how big we are. I mean, yeah, that's, you're talking, but yeah, that's basically it. The customer had the idea that they were not buying. I would say 90%, but 10% were just lay downs, but 9 of the 10, you had to do a lot of work. But the closing percentages there would be, I would say, like, I was closing about 60%. I'm not going to like exaggerate, say 80, but 60% on, like, if I wasn't really trying, just showing up and just doing my job, I closed 6 out of 10. On a hot week, I have had months where I did 80 in the 80s, but those are those anomalies we're talking about there.
You talk about most people aren't buying. I think that's the thing too. I do a lot of training. We have a big sales staff here, and I'm constantly turning people from fronters to closers. That's a really tough thing to do, Theo, because in your example there with this home gutters, it would have been the people setting the appointments versus the use. And unfortunately, it's like this, they think that this is tough. No, wait till you turn that hat and can't become the friend, and you got to be the persistent consultant, right? And so, and you said something about, like the pressure. It's like, it's pressure because, hey, you have a job, but you're also enthusiastic as hell. And you're excited about the product. And sometimes that can get people kind of like, oh shit, I thought I was just going to get this thing. Now I got this animated. This guy's telling me all these benefits, et cetera, et cetera. But I see that transition to be really difficult for these guys. And so it's very few can bridge that gap. But we're doing virtual here all over the phone sales, closing people for high ticket contracts over the phone. Have you done anything over the phone? How do you feel about the industries that are over the phone versus face to face? Walk me through what you see as the differences between those two styles of selling.
So it's pretty much, it's the same kind of deal. They got to trust you. You can't have somebody, you can't just be trying to jam it down their throat first. We got to ask them questions, get them to open up. Then they have to believe that you're actually on their side as the servant. I'm not trying to just close you just to close you. Like a lot of people would say, my favorite term people would say at the end would be, I don't know why I'm doing this, but let's get it done. We have to. You've built the urgency over their need to hold on to the money, and that's where you get it. But you need urgency. So if you're doing it on the phone or if you're doing it in home improvement, I believe the deal has to have some kind of urgent matter in order to cross the finish line to make them take action. Whether it's a discount, I'm cool. I call it the step back method. It's simple. I show you a price. It's $10,000 just to make it easy. And hey, while I'm in the house, we got 20% of discounts. I'm cool if you do it today, tomorrow. Like I said, this price is good for an entire year. This $10,000 is good for an entire year. But if you want to take advantage of it, I don't care either way. You can do it for $7,000. I got 4 more appointments to get to. It's kind of, I'd lean back. You don't want to lean forward like a chihuahua that's growling at them. Like, are you going to do it? It's just like lean back. Hey, look, I've been helping you. I've been Mr. Nice Guy this whole time. What am I going to do? Just flip the script on you now that we're in the close? No, I got to be calm, cool, and collected during the close too. This is not an emotional matter. You called me out to solve these problems. And hey, wouldn't it just make sense to do this while there's $3,000 in discounts or incentives on the table? Don't use the word discount, of incentives for you to do this. Yeah. Okay, dude, I'm going to need your approval right here. Congratulations. Who are you going to tell first about this, by the way? Oh, my mom, where she lives. She next door. Let's get that next one. You know what I mean? I got like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think it's all about how you set up the consultation, and a lot of times you're telling them up front. And I'm a big believer in telling them what's going to happen while we're there with them or on the phone with them. Number one, it creates a level of certainty that doesn't exist because they have no clue what's going on. So in every consultation, let them know, hey, listen, I'm going to spend a few minutes. We'll walk around the property. I don't know your guys' pitch. And then I'll show you some of the options and then blah, blah, blah. I think to me, that's a big deal because then as you execute on those steps, Theo, you're now earning subliminal trust. They're like, oh yeah, he told me those things. Now we're doing those things. But part of my beginning is I like to break the pact. And breaking the pact, the only way to break a blood pact is to acknowledge its existence. And so you may not have thought, Theo and Sarah, that you guys were going to buy something for your house today. As a matter of fact, before I came over, you probably said to each other, no matter what, I'm not going to do anything today. I get it. All I ask is that you keep an open mind while you're with me today. And if it works, it fits you, et cetera, et cetera. So I just think it's important to acknowledge to them, I know you said no before you even fucking shook my hand. And just keep an open mind. And that barrier seems to help a lot when I do face-to-face sales.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I call that the permission slip. You walk in and they're like, oh, is it just you and this appointment? No, my wife's shopping, whatever. I'm like, oh, is she giving you your permission slip yet? What? You're basically saying, do you have the authority to make a decision?
Yep.
Asking in a funny way. Older guys will laugh at that. But yeah, I like that transparency. It looks like you're going to say something.
Yeah. Tell me about the seller psychology. For you, when you're training people, are you training people for your industry who are already in it and they're trying to step up? Are you more helping people fall in love with the space and learn fundamentals? Walk me through that.
Well, I'm a firm believer. If you're not having fun doing what you're doing, be done with it. Quit it. Just go get you a 9-to-5 and just twiddle your thumbs and figure it out. So you got to be passionate. A lot of people that I'm coaching, they are already in a sales job. Maybe I've had some that are like already really good. They just need some fine tuning. Then I have those that are like, dude, I can't close a door. So anywhere in between. I've only taken one person. One client, he worked at PepsiCo. He's actually one of my favorite stories. His name's Phil. He worked at Pepsi, $60,000 a year, district manager, the whole deal. He came in, no sales experience other than hey, you guys doing chips? That whole deal. And dude, he crushed it. I got him a job with Leaf Filter and dude, he went from that. He's making what he made a year in a quarter now. And, you know, it's beautiful, man. I love it. So yeah, all walks of life, man. I can take, my wife, she's seen me enough. She's better than me now. I mean, my wife's a better closer than me. I'll be honest with you. But that's just women.
Yeah, dude. It's I tell you what, man, I've seen the most savage people I've ever seen in sales are women. And I think, and I'm not trying to be sexist, but I think they have an advantage that we don't have, which is they can get away with saying more rough, aggressive things than a guy can. And when they say something like, honey, do you really think your wife doesn't want to improve her? Whatever it is that they say, and they just break you down. You're like, whoop, God, well, she's got me. So anyways, going back to the newbies or the people in, what are some of the fundamentals that you're teaching in the community, Theo?
Oh, and the fundamentals. First off, you know, we got to teach you that, like, it's all about truth. Like, always. Like, I don't want you guys, you got to know your product. I have the 4 P's, right? Preparation. We're going to get your mindset. You got to believe in your product, believe in you, believe in the deal, believe in who you're working for. If you don't, find another company, that whole deal. So first section's essentially, I'm going to get their belief. The second part is preparation. Like you just said, prepping the deal. We're there. We're talking to them. We're giving them fundamental questions. Like in solar, I'll just give you an example. Like I knock on the door. Hey, my name's Theo with Power Home Solar. Nice to meet you. You Mrs. Mary? Yeah. Okay. My job's very simple. Actually, I got the best job in the entire world, and I'm going to tell you about it. I'm going to walk around your house. I'm going to do a full inspection. I'm going to see if we can even help you out. Okay. I'm going to send all the details to my engineers up there in New York City. You know, they think you're all crazy, right? Up in New York City, they're going to build a system for you. And out of that system, I'm going to come in, just show you what the systems have, and whatever they give me, I'm just going to give it to you. All I need from you by the end of this, I'm going to answer every single question, and all your questions you have, every detail about the project, how it's going to help your home specifically. And by the end of this whole thing, the only thing I ask you is that you give me a clear yes or no whether this works for you. Because look, either it works or it doesn't, and I'm not going to twist your arm if it doesn't work. Does that sound fair? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go do my inspection. Do I take my shoes off when I come in the house, or what do I got to do? So that's like first section, right? Like, how do we frame the deal? That's second section. Third is presentation when you're in the house. Sure. I want you to, you know, energetic, you know, be above their energy. Like, if your energy's like this, don't match it. Don't match that. That guy's trying to sell you on, oh, I'm not interested. Still go through it high end, high end, high end. So all about energy, how to present. I actually help people go through their pitches to customize it. And I give them word tracks, all that stuff, so that they know what to say, how to say it. And then I'll, like, in our coaching call, if I was coaching you, you're presenting to me, I'd be like, no, don't say that. You sound like a salesman. Because there's a way to come out and close. You're a closer and a salesman. And the last thing somebody wants is to be sold something. Everybody wants to buy something. So I'm going to teach them how to present in a way that they're buying. And you're not dissing the competition. We're not going to diss the competition. I always tell them this too. You want them to be like, you are presented in a way that shows that you're the expert, you're the authority. You're just giving the details of how that product works, how our product works, but you just explain in a way that makes it a no-brainer that your product is better. I don't care what product we're talking. We're just talking about whatever right now. I'm just giving you the baseline, how I'm teaching them. And then you go on the last part. I call it, it's the close, but it's the 4 P's, getting paid. So that's the close. And by the time you're getting paid, if you're not getting a yes or a no, I'm okay with a no. I'm okay with it. If you're not getting a yes or a no, then you failed. If you're getting think about it, talk about it, sleep on it, pray about it, you're getting any of that, then you failed at your job. But you should know how to handle them just in case. I got to pray about it. How do you like to pray? Let's pray right now. You want to? Lord and Savior Jesus Christ told me one thing and one thing only, that it's either yes or no. Everything in between is called the works of the devil. And ma'am, I see that cross over there. I know you're not working with the devil. Oh, I'm going to pray about it. Yeah. You know, we got to know how to handle them.
I had a TO. We used to run a TO track when I was a young guy. And for everybody out there, it stands for turnover. And, you get somebody, you're trying to lock them in for whatever contract, and they'd say no. And it was a TO track. So you were mandated to bring in a second face for a price drop. And if they say they had to pray, he grabbed their hand aggressively. And they would just go right into it, right there on the table in front of all these other couples. And it was, to me, honestly, in the beginning, it was super uncomfortable. But I understood the sales concept or logic, but I love what you said about yes or no. And and I mean this, tell the customer all the time. I'm just as appreciative of a no. How does it go? There's an exact line with it. But anyways, no's to me are just as good as a yes. It's the maybes of the death of a salesman. I can't tell you how many times it's like, oh man, so did you sign? No, he didn't sign up, man. But he's like, I'll call you back on Tuesday and at 2. And he said, for sure, he's just got to tell his brother what he doesn't even need to ask permission. It's like, especially in the REI space that I exist in, these guys, naturally, the industry doesn't have a lot of salespeople in it. They're more just people who buy cash and buy off the numbers, no direct to seller. And so I just watch these guys who are like, maybe, or they'll do this thing, Theo, you can't even imagine this. They have this concept in real estate called projected profit. And projected profit is, hey, if this seller signs up and I'm able to get rid of this property, I'll make 35,000. And so you'll see guys on Instagram like, yo, just made 35, just locked up 35K today. It's like, they didn't even sign the contract, bro. You sent the contract. They didn't sign it. And you haven't even fucking moved the property yet. So helping people get down to reality so they can have real KPIs, I think, is a must of mentors like yourself who are training other people.
Well, you can't accept a maybe. Like that's just take that out of your mind. You can't have that in your head that, think about it. Like, think about if you knew that I was selling you something right now, and I'm saying this to all the listeners too. If as a consumer, you already have your objection. You said this earlier, Scott. You already talked about it. You already have your objection. You already have your out. It's because you know that you need it. You just don't want to basically put the cojones together and buy it. It's like you can't make sense. You got to make sense of it for them. You have to. That's your job as a closer. You don't really get to work until you hear the first no in some cases. Before, it's just you're just doing a song and a dance. Hey, you're just doing this until you get that no. Then it's time to, all right, let's get to work.
I'll ask you this, because this is the things I struggle with the most training other people. It's the friendly effect, right? And I think it's because, again, I'm recruiting from guys who work on the front side, and they all of a sudden come to closers. And it's so much easier being in the customer service side of marketing than it is in the actual, give me your credit card and driver's license, right? That's two separate worlds. And I really struggle with these guys, training them up to lose that friendly and be the professional per se. So what advice do you give people if they're constantly like, yeah, they said they loved me, but they still said no? Or they said it was I did a good job, it just wasn't a good fit. So how are you helping people step that up?
Yeah, I actually got a podcast on. It's called Getting Best Friended Out of the Deal. So like you got the buddy that's elbowing you, you want a beer? And you're doing that whole thing. And you're, I don't drink anymore, but there were, deals in the past where I might have had a Bud Light with them. You got best friended out of the deal. How do you rent? What's that?
It's a great way of putting it. You got best friended out. Yeah. So how do you remedy that?
Well, you can't, first off, you have to establish where the expert, and a true expert's going to be just friendly enough. You have to be just friendly enough, but it's like an emotional, you can't cross that line emotionally of like, I believe that. He just sold you. He sold you is what he did. So it's like, now you're like, if you're getting emotional and like, you're like believing and you're starting to justify his behavior, that's where you're starting to get best friended out. So you got to have that. That means you're not leading, essentially. You're not leading. Once you start, he's leading you. So the best friend, that's their tactic. They're like, I'm going to be, do you know, honey, I got him. That's their tactic. Honey, you go get your nails done. I'm just going to make a good friend with the guy and he'll understand. That's their tactic. So you got to understand that with the best friend buddy, you have to lead them step by step through the deal, through the sales process. Like I'll be their friend and their buddy and I'll look at your Corvette for a second, but I'm also going to take control and be like, 2 minutes on the Corvette, but then I'm going to go right back to the deal. We have to get back to the deal. Back to the deal, back to the deal. Because if we stay in fantasy land for too long, there's going to be no time for deal because now you've reached what's known as deal fatigue. So don't let them, you can be nice and friendly. I'd say about 2 sentences on a topic and then get back on the line. Jordan Belfort calls it the straight line. Just stay on the track. Stay on track. If you stay 100%. On Pluto,
No, I get it. And me and you, we say the same things, maybe a little bit differently, but we're on the same page for sure. Because when you get that friendly issue, it's because they've taken you too far off of course and they're in control, or nobody's, that you guys are just floating around like two ships aimlessly in the ocean. And what I find though is I like to use the analogy of a nurse and a doctor. As a qualifier, you're the nurse. You're more friendly. We're going to talk about your medical issue, but we're not going to really talk about exactly what's going on. But when that doctor comes in, he's cordial. He's nice. He's going to talk to you a little bit about the side things, but he is there to execute on what he's there to execute for. And you respect him and you look up to him and you trust him. He's wearing that white jacket. And so I made it my job once I figured out. It took me a while, honest to God, to go from salesperson to closer because it really is different. But once I looked at it as I'm the doctor of this situation and not the person who's greeting them at the front desk or the nurse or whoever, it really, really helped change the way I communicated with people.
That's so, I swear, Scott, we do have half our brains. I talk about that too. The doctor is, you respect the doctor. A doctor is he can be friendly enough, right? You like your doctor, but he's also gonna be like, hey, no nonsense. You need this. Since when is a customer or you in the seat as a client for a doctor telling the doctor what's wrong? No, I don't have cancer.
Yeah.
I don't need that surgery. Dude, flap, flap, newsflash, you need the surgery. You got to go to the front desk. If you don't have insurance, I recommend this one, and this one. I need you to do this, but that's Shelly's problem now. I told you what you need. If you don't do it, you're going to die. You're going to die.
Speaking of dying, you have the podcast Close or Die. How'd you come up with that name? Is that off of Will Ferrell's Funny or Die? Do you know what that is?
No.
No.
I liked 50 Cent when I was 12.
I knew it was between one of the two. Ash, damn it. I knew it was going to be between 50 Cent or Funny or Die. Okay, all right. Tell me about Close or Die, how you came up with it, etc.
Well, my first business, I had a business partner before, but we parted ways. We trained a lot of people in it. It was called Undercover Closer because they don't realize you're being closed. So Close or Die is similar concept. It's like, dude, I'm going to close the deal or you're going to kick me out of the house and I'm going to die trying. I'm like, that's the attitude. That's what we were talking about. No maybes. Yay or nay. It's crystal clear. And when you are the expert, dude, you should only be getting yeses and nos. That's why when people come to you and they're like, he told me, you say, he said, lie. You got closed.
Yeah. I had a guy in my office today. I told him to present an offer to a customer. We're looking to buy their house for $160. And he didn't present the offer. I said, go present that. He was like, dude, and the house is higher than 200. And he was like, dude, she said if you could do 200, she would sign right now. I was like, but I told you to go present 160. First off, I don't even know if I could come up close to 200. I really don't think so. But it's like, you're trying to skip the process. You're trying to go to that final negotiating. And I don't have any way. No, we have to anchor. We have to go through this whole step. I need to get her to vomit. I need to get those no's out of her. I need to make sure that she doesn't say no after she signs my contract. And so just kind of like you're saying, like you just got to stick to the process and Close or Die. The other one was Cry or Buy. And so how I knew that we did a good job in any product is if they cried at the end. And for people who are listening, like, oh, no, it's because I built such emotional value for my product that they truly can't afford it. That's the only reason why they shouldn't buy. But if they truly can't afford it, they should be so emotionally attached that they're emotionally upset that they couldn't improve their life with my product.
Amen, man. Because you don't want to put somebody in a bad spot. That's not what we're trying to do here. I've done that for people where I'm like, I can't sell you this, man. You're in a bad spot. Like, I'll just walk out. I'm good enough. That's part of being a closer is you're so good. You can just be like, hey, you know what? I don't even care. I'm just giving it to you at cost. I'm not going to call my boss, whatever. There you go. Because I know that's what you can afford. Now it's not about the commission. I already make, 5, 6, 7, 10,000 a week. I'm not really tripping over it. Here you go, lady.
Yeah, ain't no doubt about it. Cool, man. All right. So how do we find more of your content? How do we find your journey, your community, et cetera, Theo?
Yeah. So you just follow me on Instagram, Theodore Johnson _official. It was Close or Die official. I just changed it. I see you have it on the bottom there, but it's my name, so it's all good. Follow me on that. Check out the Close or Die podcast. That's where you really I have everything. I'm just me talking, just breaking down processes, questions, word tracks, how to carry yourself, customer psychology, all the way to the best friend guy we're talking about, to the old guy, to to the doctor, to the lawyer, to the therapist, whoever, right? I have all these psychologies down, and how to close them all up, man. It's a game. So yeah, follow me on YouTube, Close or Die on YouTube, TikToks, still Close or Die, but Instagram's Theodore Johnson _official. That's where you find me.
I think what's so valuable about guys like you in this space is if you're considering sales or you want to go into sales, there's so much good content out there. You can literally just follow along and you'll be able to extract a gem a day. And the problem, and maybe the discipline, I should say, that you have to have if you want to become a closer is you have to actually use these tools that you're being taught. And you have to understand that if it sounds right to you, it is right for the most part, right? But just because you try it once and it fails doesn't mean, in fact, that process fails. It's maybe it's the execution, it's the delivery. And so all good things take just a little bit of time. And as you find it and make it your own, that's truly where you'll go. And my final thing on that is I tell these kids, we got a really big sales floor here, and I'll stand in front of them and I'll say, hey, who's the best salesperson in this room? And they all think it's me. I'm like, really? It's you. You're the only person. Think about how good I am, but I can only be me. You guys get to study under me. You guys get to take everything that's great about me and then sprinkle your own personality on top. And that's something I'll never be able to do. I'll never be able to be Sarah and how she can approach it using these skills. She gets a condensed version, 22 years of high ticket sales. She gets to be able to extract. And so that's why I think it's so important. If you care about sales, if you're looking to improve your life in sales, that you follow guys like Theodore Johnson.
Yeah, cool, that's brother. Where coaching's valuable too for that, what you're talking about. But yeah. Didn't interrupt you.
No. Listen, I want everybody to follow your podcast. I want everybody to follow you on IG. I really, really appreciate your time here today, brother. If there was anything I can do to be of service to come talk sales with you, just let me know, brother.
Dude, I'd love to have you on the podcast officially too. That'd be awesome.
All you got to do is reach out to not to be honestly, it'd be my pleasure.